Dear Dhamma friends, today also now time for a question and answer session. There's one written question and I'll start with that. If there are any other more, cordially invited to present it to the audience. This is in Sinhala. සමාධියට ගිය විට සමහර වෙලාවට ඇඟ හරියට වෙවුලනවා සමහර දවසකට හරියට රිදෙන එක තැනක් නරලංග හරි අනික හරි. තවත් සමහර දවසට කිසිම දැනීමක් නැතුව හේ ඉන්නවා. හුස්ම ගන්න දැනෙනවත් නැහැ. මේකෙදී භාවනා කරන්න යනකොට හම් වෙච්ච අත්දැකීම් වගේක් මේ විස්තර කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා මේ භාවනා නොකර හිටියනම් මොනවත් අපි දන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. භාවනා කරන්න ගියාට පස්සේ ඉති මේ අපි දැනුණාම ප්‍රශ්නයක් මේක ප්‍රශ්නයක් කරගන්නවා. ඒක තමයි මේ අපිට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒක නිසා තේරුම් අරගන්න ඕනේ මේව දැනෙන නිසා මේව පෙනෙන නිසා තමයි අපි මේව බලන්නේ නැතුව පිට දේවල් බල ඉන්නේ. මේක ඇඟ ඇතුලේ වර්තමාන මොහොතේ බැලුවොත් ඔය හිතන තරම් සතුට ජනක දේවල් නෙමෙයි දුක්ඛ සත්‍ය තමයි පේන්නේ. ඉස්ලාම් පේන තියෙන දුක්ඛ සත්‍ය තමයි. ඒක ක්‍රම කීපයකට බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ පෙන්නලා දීලා තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි දේවල් එක විදිහකට තියෙන්නේ මාරු වෙනවා. අද තියෙන දේ හෙට නෑ. එක විදිහට මාරු වෙනවා. මේකට කියනවා විපරිණාමය කියලා. අනිත්‍යතාවය කියලා. නමුත් භාවනා කරන කෙනා මොකද්දෝ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන එකක්. ඒක හම්බ වෙන්නේ නෑ. එක දවසට එකක් අනිත් දවසේ එකක්. ඉතින් මේ පෙන්වන්න හදන්නේ දෙයකක තියෙන පෙරලෙන ගතිය විපරිණාමේ අනිත්‍ය කියලා කියන්නේ ඕක තමයි. ඉතින් ඒක දකින්නකොට සතුටු වෙන්න ඕනේ. මේක නෑ බෑ කියන්න බැරුව තමන්ගේම ශරීරයේ වර්තමාන වශයෙන්ම අස්පනා අපිට පෙන්නනවා. ආන්න ඒක දිහා බලාගෙන ඉන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒක අකුසලයක්වත් පාපයක්වත් තමන්ගේ දෝෂයක්වත් නෙවෙයි. කවුරුවත් බැලුවොත් පේන්න තියෙන ඔච්චර තමයි. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ විදිහට මේ පෙරෙන දේ හරිම පිළිලක්. ඒකට කියන්නේ පොළන ගතිය කියලා. කුල්ලකට හාල් ටිකක් දාලා පොළනකොට හාල් ඇටේට එකම තප්පරයක්වත් ඉසුකුලන්ට ඉඩක් නැහැ. පෙලෙනවා. ආන්නේ වගේ තමයි මේක පෙලෙනවා. දෙවෙනි එක තමයි තැවෙන ගතිය. ලිපගිනි මොළවන තෙක් දිය සැලිය වගේ රත් වුණාට පස්සේ කොට මැරලා උඩට එනවා. ආන්නේ වගේ තවන ගතිය තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ දෙකම අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම දකින්න ඕනේ අනාත්මතාවය දකින්න. මේ අනිත්‍යතාවයත් මේ පෙළෙන තවන ගතිය. නමුත් මේ දෙක බලන්නේ නැතුව නිවන් ඉල්ලනවා කියලා කියන්නේ කතාවක්වත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ මේක මේ පේන එක දරන්න පුළුවන්ද බැරිද කියන එක. ඒක මේක ලියවිලා නැහැ. ඒක නිසා දරන කෙනා, ඉවසන කෙනා මේක තමයි මම මේ බලන්න වාඩි වෙන්නේ කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙච්ච කරන්නේ නිවනක් තියෙනවා. මේක දරා කියා ගන්න බැරුව මේක ප්‍රශ්නයක් කරගත්තොත් මේ හොඳට සත්‍යයෙන් එනකොට පේන දේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් කරගත්තොත් ඒකේනා භාවනා කිරීමෙන් දුකක් හදාගන්න. ඒක නිසා මේව තව ඉස්සරහට යනකොට බලලා පේන්න පටන් අර ගන්නවා. කාටවත් කියන්න දෙයක් නෙමෙයි මේක බලාගෙන ඉන්න මේ දුකේ ස්වභාවය. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන මේ දෙක එක විදියකට තියෙන පෙරලෙනවා. විපරිණාමය කියනවා අනිත්‍ය කියනවා. මේක දවන තවන ගති. ආන්නේ ටික බලාගෙන ඉන්න හැදෙන ගතියට ඉවසීම කියලා කියනවා. දැරීමේ ශක්තිය කියලා කියනවා. ප්‍රතිශක්තිය කියලා කියනවා. ඔකට තමයි මෝරණයි කියන්නේ. ඔය තුන නැතුව කොච්චර වයසට ගියත් කොච්චර දෙයක් හම්බුණත් අපි මේරිලක් සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ මේරීම සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ ඉවසීම හරහා. දැරීමේ ශක්තිය හරහා. ප්‍රතිශක්තිය හරහා. ඒ ප්‍රතිශක්තිය ලැබෙන්නේ වැරද්දේදී පැරදිවීමේදී දුකේදී පෙරලියේදී තමයි. ඒ නිසා අපි නිතර මතක තියාගන්න මේ අංගකන වසංගකන ජීවත් වෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ජීවිතය කියන්නේ කොහොම දෙයක්. හිතනවා නම් මේක මට විතරයි උනේ කියලා ඒකට තමයි මොඩකම කියන්නේ. මේ කාගෙත් ඇති. කොයි කෙනාගෙන් අහුවත් ඔච්චර තමයි කියන්නේ. ඒ නිසා අපි මේවා ප්‍රසිද්ධියේ කියන්න ඕනේ කියලා මෙව්වට අපි සැලෙන තැවෙන ගතිය අඩු කරලා අනිකුලත් එක්ක හදා බෙදා ගන්න ඕනේ. කොයි කෙනා භාවනා කරත් ওই ටික තමයි වෙන්නේ කියලා දැනගන්නකොට අපිට සමගි වීමේ සැපයක් ලැබෙනවා. භාවනා කරනකොට සමගි වීමේ සැපයක් ලැබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේවා සාකච්ඡා කරන්න ඕනේ. නමුත් වෙන දෙයක් කාලක උත්තරයක් තියෙයි කියලා හිතන්න. එකයි හම්බ වෙන්නේ බොහෝ කාලයක් ඇසුරු කිරීමෙන් මේකට ඇඟ හුරු වෙනවා. මේකට හැඩ ගැහෙන එක තමයි සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. So this is written in singular. It says sometimes whenever the mind becomes calm and there is some jerks in the body, sometimes painful in a particular place, maybe in a hand or in a forehead. Sometimes there is nothing to feel, even the breath is not available. So this is just a statement. What I tried to explain is, this is what, whenever the mind focus inside, you see there is no single continuous facet. All the facets are changing, one to the other. So you have to be prepared to accommodate and accept this changing nature. Our mind, our knowledge, our orientation is always based upon permanent notion. There's something permanent, there's a formula applicable to every place. But the Buddha says, everything is changing. Everything is transferring from one to the other. So therefore, whenever such a thing happens, our mind appear like reacting. That is because we expect kind of a set according to my likings and disliking, but that is not what happens when you allow the nature to happen. Changes are happening, so we have to adopt, we have to be mature enough to accept this changing nature. And this changing nature itself is a torture. It is torturing. That is what, when you are observing the dots in the screen without the program, observing very thing itself is a torturing. You nullify yourself, your observation. Therefore, we are not happy with this kind of thing. So, the Buddha says, whenever there is such a changing nature happens, and we have to observe it, the observer is being tortured. That is what the truth of suffering. And it is burning. The burning and torturing nature is there whenever you look inwardly. That is why you try to look outwardly. You try to see the past or future or other places or other people, because whenever you inside, whenever the alignment and the focusing happen, you are not happy. So therefore our mind is coming out with a lot of escapism. In order to see the truth as it is, it always happy to other way around. On the time series or space, time and space dimension, and more you see outwardly, more and more you see otherworldly, escapism happens. So therefore, this is something you have to accept. But the later commentators, they came out and say, whenever the meditation focused insight or insight meditation, when such a thing going to happen, after a long time you understand, these things are not pleasurable, but not unbearable. That's the only consolation we have. Therefore, you have to understand the mind is learning slowly. And you may ask, why for me? Why me? Why not for the others? You just listen to the others, they also have the same story. They are also utterly bearing. But when you look at the other person, we see like he is in heaven and he is very happy and he is... But you have to really understand, really talk and communicate with each and every person. For me, when I am reflecting, I feel there is no difference in the suffering between the doctor and the patient. Both of them are in the utter same boat. No difference between the parents and children. No difference between the teachers and the students. No difference between the rulers and the ruled. But economically and politically, when we are making dreams, we are waiting to be a ruler. The day you become, you will understand nothing changed to your suffering. Suffering is exactly the same. So therefore you have to understand the present moment. If you can bear it up, you can bear it up whole life. The whole world, whole samsara. But our mind always try to escape from the present moment to the past or future, other places and other people. So that is what we call escapism. For that only we have so much of hobbies, so much of pastimes, And more people have more hobbies and more kind of pastime we call rich. But I would say they are doped. They are addicted people. They're not happy to be here and now. They don't happy to understand here and now. That is why they are finding escapism. So the main thing is, whatever come along your way, you must be ready to be with. And then you will understand the externally or in the conventional way, there are a lot of discrimination, a lot of sectarianism, but the suffering-wise, each and everyone are in the same. So that is the way we understand humanity. Each and every human being are in the same boat. So therefore, more and more you to understand the truth of suffering, you understand and sympathize yourself as well as others, every one of whatever the thing you are going to boast yourself, that is separate issue, but in the truth, the suffering is the same. So understanding very thing is broadening your mind and reducing the frustration and reducing the fault finding with others, reducing the self-accusation, and mind is ready to accept things as they are. So unless otherwise you are taking this meditation, taking this insight meditation as your prime task, our mind is so crafty in order to miss the bus, in order to miss the present moment. So try to keep it as much as possible, but don't say it is a must or it must be 24 hours you must be in the present moment, 24 hours you must look in. No, maximize as much as possible. You can't. The mind cannot be in the present moment throughout. I mean, mind is usually in the present moment, but it can't understand that is in the present moment. So never mind. Make sure day by day you are increasing, maximizing the time for mindfulness, be in the present moment. More and more it is coming to the present moment, you find less and less tension, less and less frustration. So that is how it is being justified till you come up to the final destiny. So that's all today, a written question. If there are any other questions to be presented, welcome.
Okay. I have a follow-up question on that. In the last few years, in terms of the leader suffering as much as in terms of the leader suffering as much as the led people, or the people who are led. I was recently took a job temporarily as a director of an organization, and I suffered a lot more there at this organization in crisis than I did in my other job. But perhaps also the employees were suffering very much also. So, whereas then I had a management position in another job where it was a lot better, but I think the employees also were a lot better. So, but anyways, one place I suffered a lot, the other place I didn't. So, I guess I at first was disagreeing with you that the leaders suffer as much as the led. So, but maybe it's the circumstances when, say, the same environment, both suffer the same.
So the basic question is that you had two circumstances and the degree of suffering is different. That's the question. That is the statement we have to clarify.
I was not a leader, or I was not in a management position in one job. I switched to another job where I became an executive director, and it was a very troubled organization, and it was very difficult for me at this other job. But it wasn't so difficult for me at the job before when I was being led by others.
So that's a good example. There was one person in our village, he was a clerk and working long time in the Senate House in the university, and ultimately the superior people start to give him an executive job. He refused. He told, as a clerk, I can have enough overtime hours, and once I become a chief, the executive position, I can't get it. So therefore, I am happy with this, the clerk job. And I had a very good friend of mine. He was a senior assistant lecturer, and he was teaching human biology, special class, special kind of a subject he selected, no exams. He just talk and give the passes. And he teach basically Vipassana. And whenever the university staff is going to give him the professorship, he refuses. He says, my senior lecturership is good enough for me because I can plan myself and do. He refused sabbatical. And what to do is, whenever he gets 1 year leave, he go to a solitude place and meditate. So that is the way he used that the simple living with a little bit of money and maximizing the solitude. But in your case, that the problem is not looking from the meditation point of view. You see the amount of tension. So as far as the tension is concerned, the present day, with this, technological world, we are just a cog in a cogwheel called man-machine. We have no saying, when the machine is running, cog has to pass the pressure, that's it. Pass the power to the next wheel, that's all. If you are going to work against, your cog will be broken off. So we are just a cog. So therefore we are programmed, we are whatever may be puppets, whatever may be we are robots, we are called human robots, and that is it happens. But if you understand this is the given thing, then what is the use of protesting, what is the use of antagonizing and kind of thing? You can manage your mentality, but if you are going to protest, so much of wear and tear, friction, heat going to happen. So therefore, the suffering is two levels. One thing is earning your basic needs and fulfilling your requirements. The other thing is the solitude, the peace of mind, the freedom you are going to get. So if I am to ask little further into, you are referring to solitude, freedom, or peace of mind, or other facilities when you are referring to the suffering and not. Which one you are emphasizing?
Not the meditative part, but the other kind.
Yeah, so it is also whenever you are going to practice for a little while, we'll say, I will put it this way, at the beginning you had a kind of a tense and unsatisfactory thing, and then again you are going to get a promotion and get a good fringe benefit and kind of thing. When you are to be there for 2-3 years, that also reduces. That thrill, the thrill you get from the beginning, when the time passes, you feel more. You need more. Searching more and more. When and where you go to another higher position, for a while you feel something new. And again, when you are accustomed, when you season to that, that's also become nothing. So ever, it is not satisfying. So therefore, this machine, present day is happening like that. The other part is satiability. Easily you become satisfied. When we are taught in economy, but I did science subjects, and at the university level it happened us to undergo 1-year course on the economy, and they are told the Sri Lankan farmer easily satiable. He earn little and then start entertaining and finish it. He never think entrepreneurship. He never think about the expansion. Little he earn, easily satiable. And that then onward, the American people or Western people go and see, why can't he promote himself and go for future, more productivity, but very difficult to promote it. We did extension, agricultural extension, to introduce hybrid varieties. And it is possible only with the newly started large-scale irrigation systems. But in the traditional villages, no one ready to accept new varieties, new fertilizers, new chemicals. They are happy with the old one because their value system is not the money, not the luxury, peace of mind, the family. So from the Western point of view or industrial point of view, they are backward people. But you ask them, they are happy. There's a very nice story. There had been a king. He got kind of a disease, always headache. He's full of luxuries and everything, always headache. And then he consulted his advisor. And he told, you must wear the shirt of the poorest persons. You must wear the shirt of the poorest person living in your kingdom. Then your disease will be gone. It's a mystical kind of a way. So what they did was, they have a drum beaters and go with the announcement to the country. Ask the inner, citadel, any person who is living happily and poorest person. Happily, king is going to have a negotiation, why don't you come and report the king? And no one is happy inside the citadel. Then the message went to the outside, in the city, no. And went to the village, no. And 7 days the message is going. And one day there was a very old man, a farmer, after finishing his day's work, when he's going back, he heard the message telling that king is searching for the happiest person and wants to have a negotiation. And he told, yes, I am a happy person. Then with all the happiness, the messenger brought him to the king and asked that, I heard that you are living in this my kingdom happily. I would like to exchange your shirt with me. He told, I have never wear a shirt. He is always topless. And he is very happy. You see, therefore the happiness, what we call, has two kind of, that's materialistic and we can show it to the others and kind of thing. There's another one, solitude, the peace of mind and the play and the freedom, these two. And I think both has to go in hand in hand. And that you come to know after you become fairly mature. Early part of your life is basically with the materialistic kind of thing. Because you don't appreciate the solitude, you don't appreciate the freedom, you don't appreciate the peace of mind. Because the sensuous pleasure is much working. And after you become mature only, you come to know that life meaning. And I think the existentialist, Karen Kierkegaard, he has mentioned the life into 3 stages. The earlymost life is the playful life, no responsibilities, depending on parents, and playing males and female together, and very happy. And once you become sexually matured, you have to give up this playful life and get into the household life, and there you have to sacrifice your the freedom. Instead, you have to be morally responsible so that you have to raise up your children. So you take the moral responsibilities into your life and giving up this playful life, it's an utter waste. It's a heavy responsibility but can't help. You have to have this moral life. And when you come out of the moral life and when the children become fairly big and up to their age, and you come to know that even if you are living a moral life, no satisfaction, no contentment, because there's still something to learn. The truth is not revealed. Then you have to give up this moral life and go in search of the truth. Even if you are morally sound, even if you are economically sound, the truth is not there. And then you have to go to the 3rd stage, and he says it is a kind of a very responsible decision to give up. Even if you are morally good, you have to search for the truth. And there only the 3rd level of maturity going to happen. And without that, the contentment or satisfaction, you can't gain it. So therefore different people have different meanings towards this pleasure, towards the satisfaction, towards the contentment. And in Vipassana meditation, that your final object or objective itself is evolving. At the beginning you try to get kind of satisfaction and kind of contentment. But later when the vipassana is developing, you feel the equanimity towards the loss and the gain is the best. Equanimity towards the popularity and unpopularity, you must be equanimous, that is the best. Equanimity towards the pain and pleasure is the best. Likewise, the equanimity become the criterion, more and more you to go there. So therefore your objective itself, the final aim itself is evolving. Vipassana is the only thing in the world where your objective is changing. Objective is evolving. Other thing, you have a fixed objective and you have to run and gain it. But today, in the Vipassana, when you go and near the object, that itself is evolving. So that is why it says, Westerner, they put, the Vipassana trip is very difficult and the achievement is very appreciable. But in the world, no one has thrown a party after achieving the Nibbana. There's no person remaining to throw a party. That very person itself is dissolving and your very object also ultimately end up with nothingness. But your understanding is the world is but nothing. Sunyata. So no one needs to throw a party because it's a very big achievement, of course. So therefore you have to change your values, likings and disliking. Even without your knowledge, it is changing. That is Buddha has assured. When you are practicing, when you are associating this kind of people and listening to this kind of Dhamma, it is not happening overnight, but ever the likings and disliking, your personality traits and everything is slowly evolving. So when you look back and see, you can see, after a long time you can see some changes, but day-to-day changes are very trivial, very little, very difficult to measure, even to one particular person. So therefore you have to have a certain amount of faith to continue. And after a long journey only you can understand less and less friction, less and less tension, and less frustration. That is the end result. Yet another question. Dear Venerable Bhante, would you please explain the ups and downs of the meditation practice of the yogi to us? Of course, that world means, changing nature means ups and downs. And it is not an ups and downs to the yogi because that is what yogi is aiming at. Yogi is aiming to see the transient nature. So therefore, without ups and downs, that means death. No go. So any ups and downs means dynamism. And yogi, if he still discriminate or choose ups are better and downs are bad, that means not yet a yogi. To be a yogi, you must understand, this is my subject matter. If you are to study a wave, it is always ups and downs. If it is at the flat, at the datum line, we don't call it as a wave. The whole samsaric cycle is a wave. The day-to-day life is a wave. Breath is a wave. Everything happening in cyclic order. So ups. Without ups, no downs. Without downs, no ups. So therefore, if you are going to say ups are better and downs are bad, that means you are blocking the natural order. That they are reciprocal each other. And whenever you have that kind of equanimous approach, the amplitude reduces. That's a strange relationship. If you get worked up with ups and downs, amplitude increases. Your tension increases, your involvement getting increases, and blood boiling happens. But if you are ready to accept one wave means it's a symmetrical ups and downs. So my duty is to observe it in a choiceless awareness. And when such a choiceless awareness happens, that the amplitude is also slowly flattening and come into the datum line. So that there you can see less and less blood boiling, less and less emotional involvement, less and less commitment, less and less tension are going to happen. Again, when you become responsive and reactive and assuming, the amplitude increases. Again it reduces. This is the way it happens. Ultimately you come to know the proper balance. You come to know the ways and means how to keep the amplitude lower, otherwise more tension, more involvement, more commitment. So therefore, yogi here, what I refer, is a vipassana yogi, or insight. There may be some other yogis also. For them, ups and downs are matter. It affects. But vipassana yogi take this ups and downs itself as a subject matter to study and to keep distance, not to get involved with these ups and downs, and then you will see that as the maturity increases, you develop the equal response to the ups and downs, that is to say, unassuming observation. Non-reactive kind of observation, but don't expect this as something natural in your system. It is not natural. It is not in your system. You have to train. That is the thing we are trying our best not to get worked up with, not to get hooked up with, not to get excited with the ups and downs, but to see them very vigilantly and very diligently. They have their own order. So therefore, ups and downs are quite natural in the meditation, but don't try to get involved with that. Try to get a distance and have a neutral observation, just like you go to the seashore and see waves. They are going ups and downs. So you have nothing to worry about the waves. They are happening with their own order. You can keep the distance and observe. Still you are dry. You are not contaminated with the waves so that you will get wet. But still you can try and see. Then only you can understand how the other beings experience the same, and how to get involved with the other beings, other time, other places, or the wave, or not to get involved with. So not to get involved is the highest maturity if you can achieve. We have around 20 minutes more. Yes?
Use a little clarification on the meditation instructions. When I signed up for this retreat, it was months ago, I found out after signing up about this tradition being a noting tradition. In my meditation, I work I'm very inclined towards narration. Right? So I try to see that as another mental formation, let it pass and be in direct contact with the experience. And when I read the meditation instructions, it sounded like lots of narration about the breath. And so I wondered if you could help me understand the difference there.
It is in the understanding much in detail on the breath, we can say reductionist theory. We take one thing and try to go as deep as possible, so that we consider it is a fixed object with signs, and we let our rational mind to study its signs, study its object, and it's as if appearing again and again. More and more you to observe it, you see its shapes and its manners. At the beginning, as the mindfulness is not much developed, appear like permanent. The characteristic attributable to the in-breath is not attributable to the out-breath, so you can see clarity. But you are being asked to observe again and again. When you go deeper and deeper, you find these attributes you have found in the in-breath itself is subject to changes. Out-breath also subject to changes. Ultimately, this changing manner, the nature of change become more prominent than the attributes. So when that happens, your first notion you had of object has permanent signs. It has its personal characteristics. As far as the mindfulness is not established, yes it is. But as the mindfulness increases, the relationship between the object and the mind become closer and closer, you find that is questionable. And ultimately you see everything you thought as permanent and fixed are questionable. They are changing. So ultimately you have to compromise. Of course, at the beginning it appears like fixed and personal and intrinsic, but as you go deeper and deeper, it is changing nature. So when and where you come to a fair amount of understanding with one particular object that you selected, ultimately that nature is applicable to all the other objects also. So therefore we select one, but maybe let it happen by itself. You are not selecting at the beginning, you let it happen, let the object to be prominent, and then you penetrate into, and ultimately it can go into. So there the nature is, you start with the known thing, gross thing, naturally appearing thing, and give the deep depth, give the very immediate attention, as if it is permanent, as if it is consistent, as if it is steady. But when you keep on observing 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, likewise, ultimately mind itself come to understand, as far as the mind is not much developed with the mindfulness, things appear permanent, things have its own signs. But more and more you observe closely, things are in a flux, in a changing. So more and more you to understand the holographic effect. Whatever the object you select and whatever the observation you gain through the selected object is applicable to everything. So therefore you can start with letting the object pass away without holding into one, and still you can get the changing nature. For example, if you observe the appearing thoughts, they are appearing and passing away, nothing you hold and nothing you observe, nothing you note it. But still you can have the changing nature. Therefore, that is also not a invalid system. It is also a valid system. But yet another method is, you take a materiality, fix it and observe it, and ultimately that also leading to the same conclusion. So therefore, this is one method. The other method, you can't say this is better than the other or other is better than this. This is we call the gradual system. Starting 1 point fixed, and through that you find the way into the common nature, universal nature of the matter.
And also, referring to her question, can you say something about the noting? In the little thing we were supposed to read, it mentioned about the Mahasi method and noting.
Yeah.
I'm not really that familiar with that. Is that similar to what we were just speaking about?
Yeah, the Mahasi shadow is the one basically introduced this noting system, but Manasikara is the Pali term. Manasikara means adverting of the mind. For example, here there's a group. When I am talking, I am focusing to you. My attention is to you, because now I am taking your question. So my attention goes there. In order to fix the attention with you, I can call you by name. If I am calling by your name, it is definitely others know, but he is not talking with us. He is talking with him. So likewise, when we have a lot of objects, if you wish to pay the attention to one, you have to call that object by name. It's a kind of a way to straightening our communication. That is called Manasikara. And Manasikara is, whether Mahasi shadow introduced or not, that is the way mind is working. So in order to establish the object, in order to develop the relationship with the object, he took it as a technique. When the in-breath happened, note it as in-breath. When the out-breath happened, note it as out-breath. And then ultimately, after a while, even without noting, you can develop the relationship. So therefore, there's one book known as Calm and Insight, and he analyzed the Mahasi system. He says the way the Mahasi shadow is introducing this noting system and introducing the meditation to the non-Buddhist, not as a religion, it is just as a technique. If you wish to pay attention to one thing, and you have to repetitively apply the mind into that, if you wish, you can call it by name. And then ultimately the mind focusing go to that particular object, and then it penetrates into that, and later automatically you become a spiritual person. You become a religious person. And therefore, the Buddhism went to the West. Otherwise, it won't go. If someone says that you must be a Buddhist, you must take 10 precepts, you must wear white clothes, and you must... Who can practice this? Without anything, Mahasi Sadhu says you sit comfortably and let the natural phenomena to arise, either rising and falling of breath, and in order to keep the attention, just note it, or make sure that is your primary object. That is your reference point. That is your temporary benchmark. Fix the benchmark and try to pay the attention as much as there are no serious distractions. Ultimately, when it happens, the penetration going to happen. So, noting is a technique in order to fasten, in order to fix the attention with your one of the objectives. That means you know now you are talking to that particular person. So the others know, now we have nothing to interfere because the communication line is straightened. So in the classrooms, in Sri Lanka, when we attended school, beginning of the second period, the class teacher come and mark the attendance. I don't know whether it happened nowadays also. And call by name. Everyone has to raise the hand and say, I am present. If someone is raising hand instead of someone, class teacher knows. So call him by name is the only way. That is exactly what happened in the parliament also nowadays to get the vote. That you have to raise your hand and call by name. And that is, it's a very simple, early method. When you are, I am calling you by name, every other one knows. Now the communication is these two. That is simple as that. Or otherwise, the Mahasi Sayadaw explained, when the teacher is teaching a kindergarten, teacher come and write a letter or word on the timetable, on the blackboard, say apple. And before teaching the word meaning, small children have to learn A, P, B, L, E, word by word. So when the teacher is pointing the A, everyone has to say A. When the teacher is pointing to the P, everyone has to say P. P, L, E. Likewise, talking and sounding the same letter and seeing the shape, giving a good anchorage to the children. So calling the letter by word is in the kindergarten level. But when you develop certain extent, by looking at APPLE, the notion directly goes to your mind, it is an apple. But when you are learning, you have to study by letter. So that is how it happens. So once you learn this technique of noting, after a while without the help of that, the purpose will be served due to your familiarity. So therefore Mahasi system is very, very seriously recommending noting in order to avoid unwanted thing and to give the straightening attention to the particular thing you wish to keep the development, keep the relationship.
So in the meditation, when let's say I'm thinking, I note that I'm thinking and go back to the breath.
Yeah, and so now you know your main object is the breathing, but the thought came and crossed your stream of consciousness. Now you know the thinking is what happened, not the breathing. So therefore you know, as far as the breathing is concerned, this is the point you focus the attention. Now you know that point is invalid. As far as the breathing is concerned, you note it as in-breath, out-breath. Now that naming is invalid. Now you have to understand the thinking is what happens. So therefore you remove the attention from here, you discard the early labeling, now you are thinking. So now you know not the body, not the eye, not the ear, not the nose, not the tongue, but the mind is working now. Earlier you knew that your body is working here, bodily tactile sensation. Now the mind has the chance to change the channel from body sensitivity to the mind sensitivity. And you follow it by labeling, giving a kind of a kick to the mind to understand, not to get mixed up with. If the visual observation going to happen, seeing. If the sounds are going to interrupt you, hearing. When and where that is alleviated, it's gone, you come back to the primary object. And very, after a while, once you develop this with noting or without noting, very interesting thing happen. You take your vow to be with the breath. You go and sit. And you know my primary object is the breath. All of a sudden you come to know, instead, mind is thinking. That you are no more with the breath. Mind is thinking, and soon it comes to know that I am supposed to be with the breath. Instead thinking takes place, naturally mind come back and take the refuge of the breathing. So this is the way, ultimately mind develop kind of a moral shame and the moral fear. Whenever it knows that I am off the track, naturally mind come back to the primary object. And when you are further advancing, all of a sudden you become self-aware and you know I am supposed to be with the breath, but thinking happen, soon that happen, mind come back to the primary object and resume the work. And there, you may understand, now there is a mechanism in the mind, not to be mindful on the breath itself, but to be mindful that mind is not mindful. That is the most beautiful thing in the mind. Now you are supposed to be with the breath. And you take every conducive condition, you breathe in, you keep on practicing, and all of a sudden, self-awareness comes and says, you are no more with the breath. Moment that happens, the mind come back and start work with the breath. And that way returning journey is come out of your practice by your trial and error. Ultimately you understand that you are not only mindful with the primary object, you are mindful as to say you are how much unmindful. But the thing is, if you are not well instructed, whenever you come to know I am unmindful, you regret. But the Buddha says it is not the reason to be regret, but to be happy. Because it's mind own quality now develops. It knows not only Lord see the white patches, it see the black patches also. That means mind take its own responsibility. So therefore, more and more you go there, even the mind going out, considered to be as a bad habit, the very returning back to the track must be appreciated. Whenever you appreciate that kind of a thing, you find that appreciation happen only when and where the mishap happen, only you have a reason to be happy. Mind go off, and all of a sudden will come back. Going off is bad, but coming back is good. Coming back never happened without going off. So each bad thing has a good thing. Each dark cloud has a silver line. So each and every mishap, each and every unmindfulness become a reason to be happy. So that is how it ultimately you understand. Even if you are unmindful, there's a kind of a sensitivity, kind of a sensor is there to tell you that you are unmindful. That is the one we have to improve. That is the one we have to mobilize, and then mind will take care about itself. It is like in America, I think it won't be a good example, about cricket. You do know cricket? So when I am citing that example, maybe in the other games also now it is available. So in the football and soccer there are some umpires.
I've seen it on TV.
Yeah, there are two umpires for the cricket, leg umpire and the chief umpire. So then and there they have to pass the decision, otherwise we can't run the game. But ultimately there were a lot of complaints, umpires are biased. The human error. So then every decision taken by the umpires are being questioned. Umpire decision revision program came into being. They told that if the umpire has taken a wrong decision, it must be sorted it out. So what happened was, a TV camera came. It became the third umpire. Throughout the game, cameras are set. So the umpire's decision is accepted and gone. If someone comes to the petition or question it, everyone has to go and see the clip. Action replay, slow motion. And then when the camera happens, there is no human error. Umpire also has to accept, home team also has to accept, visitors also has to accept. So now, less and less amount of complaints. So mindfulness is the third umpire. Our mind is human error. Even to our decision, what I have conducted, what I have done, I would say yes. But the other party connected will say, no, I am biased. So who the hell, how can we sort it out? Then the Buddha says, if you are mindful, you can put the actions replay slow motion. You can go back to the event. If you perform it in a mindful way, what was my intention? And you get the third view. So this is the way third view is developing. When and where mind goes off, lose the primary object, there's a kind of a sensor working to say that something wrong somewhere. Moment it comes, mind come back to the primary object. That is the one of the function of the primary object. When and where you need readjustment, primary object is the temporary benchmark. Upon that only you get the bearing. So let the mind run. Whenever come, make a point to be happy, because now mind knows how to bring the attention back. So therefore labeling help you to reduce the outgoing numbers. But when the mindfulness is develop its own system, whenever goes out to give a signal, some kind of a self-awareness to say something wrong somewhere. That very signal will bring the attention back to the primary object.
Ante, you were describing or talking about the technique of noticing the beginning and ending of each part of the breath. And you said something about expecting that it's helpful or important to be able to let go. Maybe before the breath begins to know, okay, there's going to be the beginning of this breath, and then there's going to be the end of this breath. And that helps to develop that awareness. Is that right?
No, I use the term preparedness, not the expectation.
So can you just, how does one be prepared? Do we think perhaps like the breath is about to begin, sort of, and then, or say, I'm going to watch the beginning of the breath, and then I'm going to watch the end of the breath?
It's a kind of synonym for the alertness, synonym for the diligence. I will give an example. In Sri Lanka, 2006, so I don't know, there's a tsunami case. And Mulativu is the first place attacked. And after 1 hour, the Gold and Colombo came under the attack. No one alarmed. So the devastation is 50,000 people. Imagine whenever tsunami come and attack to the Mulativu, someone is given an alarm, say be prepared, how much death you could have done away with. If someone was there an alarming system to say tsunami attack, don't go to the beach, mind your own business and go inside if you be prepared, the number would have cut by so much of event. So therefore, whenever danger happens, if you are aware, we say there's an epidemic happens, if you are aware, a lot of ways you can do away with, unwanted thing can cut off. If you are unprepared, that's two calamities. One thing is a disaster, second thing is your unpreparedness. So therefore, whenever going to happen, if you know beforehand, for example, in this house is wired, and we know every wire is being insulated. If there's an explosion, if there's a board there, in that area, wires are being exposed, don't touch. Less and less amount of danger. Till it's been repaired, and has to put the board like that, we must understand our slap, our miss, our ignorance is basically at the beginning of the in-breath and the end of the in-breath. So if you wish to do away with the ignorance, there you have to be more alert, there you have to be more diligent, more prepared, then not the whole picture, little more than the last breath you can see. And next time, little more than last breath you can see, slowly you can go to the subtle part of the breath. More and more you go there, your own trial and error, your own ways and means help you to develop this technique more and more to the subtle area. And there's a one layer, one place, it is called threshold value. Upon that you can feel, below that you can't feel it. But the operation is there. Operation is happening, after the threshold value you feel it. Below that you can't feel it. But whenever the mindful come to that threshold value, you feel, process is there, I can't feel. My sensitivity is not there. But beyond that level, it expresses, it manipulates, it manifests. I can feel it. So therefore you understand, more and more you develop the mindfulness, your sensitivity also will be challenged and go to the very deep layer. That is how your mind goes to your attention goes to the subconscious layers. Action is there, happening without light, in the darkness. When the mindfulness happens slowly, behind the screen, what is happening, slowly you come into being there. It becomes obvious day by day. So when that alertness, when the sensitivity increase with respect to the breathing, it is never limited to breathing. Whenever someone is angry with me, after certain expression only I come to know that he is angry. But you are very sensitive, you can understand, you can feel more than earlier, there is something wrong, therefore I must be little precautious. And whenever your anger arises within yourself, desire arises within yourself, after certain threshold value only you feel, you recognize this as anger or desire. But if you are mindful, you see it is just the manifestation, but below the manifestation there are a lot of things are happening. This area is the one the Buddha says we must be give fair chance, fair attention, fair mindfulness to see what is happening under the carpet, what is happening behind the screen. So then you understand who am I. Not only the manifested world, manifested emotions, manifested signals, before the manifestation, how they come into being. So this simply the Newtonian physics and the Einstein physics. Newtonian physics is once the energy collapses into matter. Einstein says before collapsing, when as it is energy itself, how it behaves. It's very quite a mystics. Newtonian physics predictable. You can calculate. Formulas are there. But when the matter becomes energy, then the same thing, energy can be matter, matter can be energy. Earlier they thought there are two different worlds, but now so it is a maturity or changing of the same thing. Energy can be matter, matter can be energy. Likewise, the particular person come to know his own emotion after certain amount of development. Early part of the development, he or she do not know, because they are not mindful, they are not prepared. I don't know whether I am addressing to this thing that you are.
That's the way that you read the mind of the other person?
Easily. Because if you can read your mind, exactly the same mind to the other person also. If you know only a highlighted area, then you only see the other person's highlighted area only. But even though it is not highlighted, a lot of other things, behind the screen, if you know that, you get a better communication. And that is I would say, the matter of communication. That's the point we missed the bus. We only expressed and manipulated symbols. Before the manipulation, before the expression, there is a huge area, as the Sigmund Freud mentioned. We know only the tip of the iceberg. But the tip is only 10%, 1/10. The huge area is below. So Buddha says, mind your business. Go deep down and see what is happening, rather than looking at the other tips floating around you. You have to have a fairly geographical meaning and orientation about the other tips. But you have to understand the upward push from the 1/10, 90% of the ice underwater, which is pushing up. Upward push. That upward push is the one keep the tip up all the time. So we are talking, and communication is worrying about only the tip of the iceberg. But the huge area, 90%, never addressed, never be prepared, never came under the light of mindfulness. So therefore, we are working in darkness without putting on the switch, without putting on the light. Okay, now 1 hour gone. So we'll take time for walking meditation, and we'll be meeting here at about 3 o'clock for another 1 hour of sitting. Thank you very much for the participation.